What if one of Europe's most powerful empires was almost France, but lost not on the battlefield, rather through family deaths, civil wars, and a single election bought with bribes? Because for centuries, the crown that shaped Europe could have belonged to France, but somehow, it slipped away every single time. To understand how that happened, we have to go back to the year 800 AD, when a Frankish king named Charlemagne was crowned in Rome as Holy Roman Emperor by the Pope himself. At that moment, it looked like Europe was about to be unified under one unstoppable ruler. But what seemed like the beginning of an empire was actually the start of its collapse. It all begins a few decades earlier with the Frankish kingdom under Pepin the Short. When he died, his realm was split between his two sons, Charles and Charlemagne. Because of inheritance law, Charlemagne ruled his half without major issue, until he suddenly died just 3 years later. And just like that, Charles inherited everything. That man would become Charlemagne. Over the next decades, he expanded his kingdom across vast parts of Western Europe. By 800 AD, he was powerful enough that when the Pope was driven out of Rome, he called on Charlemagne for help. Charlemagne restored him, and in return, the Pope crowned him emperor. For a moment, it looked like a reborn Roman Empire was forming. But then came the real problem: succession. Charlemagne's empire passed to his son, Louis the Pious. And unlike his father, Louis had multiple sons who tore the empire apart in a brutal civil war after his death. For the next 50 years, the empire fractured, split, reunited, and split again, until unity became impossible. In the east, power shifted toward Germanic rulers like Otto, who reshaped the empire further and rebranded its leadership. Over time, the Holy Roman Emperor was no longer seen as Frankish, but distinctly German. Meanwhile, what would become France drifted away, ruled by weaker kings who struggled to control powerful nobles. And by the time France was strengthened under later kings, the divide was already permanent. But the final chance for unification came centuries later, in 1519. Three of Europe's most powerful men competed for the same title: Henry VIII of England, Francis I of France, and Charles of Spain. The prize? Becoming Holy Roman Emperor. Behind the scenes, it wasn't glory or lineage that decided it. It was money. Bribes, promises, and political deals determined the vote. In the end, Charles won, while Francis lost despite spending heavily, and Henry backed out when he realized he couldn't compete financially. And just like that, the last real chance of merging France and the empire disappeared forever. From that point on, Europe was locked into division, France on one side, the Holy Roman Empire on the other, never to become one again. Subscribe for more untold history stories.